So today we're in Victoria, BC, and this is one of my favorite cities to visit in all of Canada. I like to call this place Little London because there's literally double-decker buses, a lot of British history intertwined with the place. We had the Hudson Bay Company. It was a thriving area to live in the 1800s, full of brothels and opium epidemics. All kinds of strange things took place here. But most notably, there is a giant history with the occult and esotericism. If you look around this city, it's loaded full of esoteric bookstores, metaphysical shops. We have this reputation of the place, not only because it has been said that it has the second highest population in the world of practicing Satanists and witches next to Geneva, Switzerland. Apparently, I haven't been able to confirm that. But please keep in mind that these groups are not the same. They have different intentions, vastly different philosophies, and the majority of those in the metaphysical or esoteric community here follow the light and have good practices and do not want to harm anyone. So that just goes to show, when you look at this place and all the amazing history here, be it even the gruesome history, it is like a magnet. It attracts all different sorts of people with different intentions. And that also has to do with the ley lines. The ley lines here, which these great buildings have been built alongside, are the electromagnetic grids, hold certain energy properties. And I've also been told by John Adams, the local historian, that this has a lot to do with the way that this island is formed. It's a rock and it's surrounded by salt water, so that holds a lot of energy. It also contributes to a lot of the hauntings in the area. But there is a book out called Michelle Remembers, where she was taken out to all these places where they were practicing ritualistic Satanism and all kinds of strange things. And then there's the conspiracy of Michael Donaghy, who went missing in this city. And it was said that he was taken 7 streets from Easter Street, 7 days from Easter Sunday. And there's a whole conspiracy and investigation on the internet about that. But anyhow, even this Parliament building in front of us has a history that's very strange. The architect, the tradition of the Masonic architectonics, had studied the great Neoplatonic philosophies of guys like Plotinus, who believed that when we look at aesthetics, the more beautiful your buildings were, that they brought about this heightened feel to human consciousness. He was also the designer of the Empress Hotel, which the Queen has been said to stay in. And by the way, according to the local historian, who also does the ghost walks, which I highly recommend, his name is John Adams, there is a very haunted area of that hotel that the elevator goes up through, that they're no longer able to have people stay in because there were so many incidents there, some of the employees hanging themselves and whatnot. But when we look at the legislative buildings or the Parliament buildings behind us, we learn about the architect or designer Francis Rattenbury, who was actually murdered by his second wife's estranged lover at around 1935. But if you see this building, you'll see all sorts of Masonic symbolism. First of all, around the property, even the lampposts have the Corinthian pomegranate pillars that talk about all the earthly pleasures that you would see coming out of the pomegranate when you ate them. And we see that symbolism all over the place, even out at St. Peter's Square at the Vatican. But just taking a look at the building over here, we're going to see all sorts of symbolism. First of all, towards the top, you're going to see that familiar dome structure that you see on mosques and in the Duomo in Florence, over by Pisa. And that is essentially just like the pyramid. It is the dome of the heavens opening up that you're looking towards. We also see the Celtic cross, which is the ancient symbol for the light, or the sun. And light, of course, is mentioned in Freemasonic teachings. You also see the triumphant arches, the symbolism of 12. There we see Isis, the goddess of science, above the Celtic crosses, representing the light or the sun. On the other side is the lady or goddess of art. And as we look around the building, you'll also notice the beautiful Gothic and Greco-Roman architecture, which is absolutely fabulous. If you look up towards the entrance, you'll see the phoenix on the left and right side of the door. And the phoenix is very symbolic. You see the phoenix, it also talks about the rising of great nations from the ashes. All throughout the ancient world we see that, but it's the left and right wing side of politics. It's also on the 32nd, 33rd degree or insignia symbolism over in Freemasonry and the Scottish Rite. Now you will also probably notice that in the arch for the doorway here, we have these 3 layers. And this is the triune nature that's been built into this doorway. It's an initiation doorway. And we also see that in Masonry, with the first layer being the entered or accepted apprentice, fellow craftsman, and master mason. This also goes back to the number of 12 being man's number, with the 9 months of pregnancy and the 3 months of spiritual initiation, or the lower mind, the body, and the higher mind. We also see that within the solar trinity, from the sunrise, the midday sun, and the sunset. That goes back to the trimuti of Hinduism, Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, or Trinitarian philosophy that you see for Christianity with the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But the 3 is the number of completion. It's a master number. We also see above the doorway a version of the Devonshire seal, and the Devonshire seal, by the way, with all the crests of the provinces of Canada, is located adjacent to here, and you'll see it represented. And if you have seen our video where we've been in London recently, we showed in front of Buckingham Palace this very ancient seal, which is shown here appropriately with the Union Jack underneath it. And this symbol comes back from the caves of Bhopal, India, from 5,000 years ago. And that's 4th century BCE or 3800 BCE. And this seal, or the topaz of Sachi, is very, very ancient. And it also is where we get the Star Spangled Banner from, by the way. But it's very interesting when you see this. It definitely comes back from the ancient world. And here it is again, represented in government. Now, there is also a hidden garden to the right of these buildings that form a labyrinth in the shape of a Celtic cross. And the trees around here were sacred to the Druids. And we saw that with the oak. There's 4 yews, the cypress of Lebanon, which is very odd since the latter is rare for Canada. And under the Parliament buildings here, it's been rumored that there are these underground tunnels and hidden ceremonial chambers that have been used for meetings by secret societies. Of course, let's not forget that in front of here we also see the obelisk, which is sacred to the Egyptians. It's found out in front of government buildings in Washington. It's found in front of the Vatican and around Rome. So there's all sorts of incredible mysteries here. This beautiful building is only just the start of it. There's so many other incredible things to see in Victoria. So come with me, I'm going to show you around. So now we're in the Fagtan Alley, and this is just outside of Chinatown in Victoria. And this is one of my favorite places because not only is it haunted, but it's home to one of the best metaphysical New Age bookstores in all of Victoria, called the Triple Spiral, run by the one and only amazing Phyllis. Come check this out. We have the Green Cuisine Vegetarian Restaurant, which has great options for vegetarians. I would compare it to the NAM in Vancouver. It's pretty excellent. But over here we have the Avalon Metaphysical Center, which has awesome books. I always come to this spot and find rare used books, crystals, and incense that I don't see anywhere else. So come check it out. Now we're in one of Victoria's many haunted alleys, and this is an area where all the prisoners would be kept, and many people say this area is extremely haunted, and they'll capture footage of ghosts and apparitions, orbs, and all sorts of spirits. But out this way is an area called Bastion Square, where they would do the hangings, and this was quite a spectator sport. Everybody would gather out there and watch people be hung. And again, this is a part of Victoria's gruesome history. Let's go check it out. Historic part of Victoria now at Chinatown, and there's all sorts of incredible shops that have feng shui goodies and amazing little gifts But I urge you, if you come to Victoria, to explore this magical and incredible city and find out about all the mysterious things for yourself. So this is one of our favorite pubs to visit in Victoria, which has fantastic food. I have to recommend the quinoa veggie burger, the Parmesan garlic fries with the jalapeno aioli, and the cauliflower with the tahini sauce. And outside of the beer, which is fantastic, there's a bit of a history here, as it used to be an old bank that the Bard of the North, or Robert Service, the famous Canadian poet, used to come here and sleep above the vault. And when we look at this place, they say it was very haunted. So now we're at the Royal Museum of British Columbia. This place has a reputation of being haunted, not only at the Helmeken House at the side, but over here in the historic wing, which is really cool. It's like you're going back in time. These places over here have some rooms which have different belongings that have belonged to people from different time periods. And what we're told, especially over in this area, there is a woman that shows up and a little girl that walks around in this area, and some of the security has seen it before. But the museum itself holds a lot of old belongings. And of course, we've heard in traditional metaphysics and the esoteric, we have stuff, this phenomena called an attachment. And again, we hear about this in the First Nations, First People area of the museum, with all the totem poles and masks and everything else we've heard about apparitions and sounds in the middle of the night. But I just think it's really neat when you go into these places. It's like you're going back in time, and many might say that you're encountering more than just old belongings. This is one of Victoria's many churches, and behind me you'll see we have the classical architecture that we get from all over Europe. But first of all, you see the openings on the windows and the doors? Those are actually shaped like vaginal openings. And at the very top, you'll see that those are the phallic tops that show the male superiority and dominance, just like when the preacher or the priest steps up in the church at the pulpit above everybody, it's entering the womb. And we also see the sun wheel up above the windows and doors. You may see it on different organizations like the Rotary Club and in Buddhism. Very interesting. But again, we got to remember that the word church comes from kirk. When we go over to Scotland and we see all the different similarities and the things that the Templars brought back and what we get out of the Crusades. And this came from the Greek goddess mother Circe. And Circe was a goddess that would devour men like pigs and dogs after she lured them into her house. But all sorts of beautiful architectonics and churches in the city. So a lot of people think that Victoria is the best during the daytime, and I tend to agree it's pretty good. You have all the museums, strange history, things to see. It will keep you very busy. But I think Victoria really comes alive during the night. Now, not only do you see the Parliament buildings at night all lit up and they look very beautiful, but you can also look out at the city up at Mount Tomei, where we're headed right now. But I'm not going to leave you guys until I give you one more story about this very fascinating place that will give you a little glimpse into the occult side of Victoria. A few years ago, I was visiting someone out here in a place called Esquimalt, and they were up in an apartment building, and I parked my car around the back of this apartment. So I go up to visit them, and after I'm leaving out downstairs to leave out the back parking lot, and this guy had a very peculiar landlady who was in her 80s. And this lady had tattoos all over her and these cataract type of eyes that were really cloudy and very white looking. And she had this look to her that looked like the old witch from Snow White, you know, from Disney's Snow White. Anyhow, as I see her on this other occasion we were visiting, I was leaving out this back parking lot, and as I came out there, it was absolutely strange because there she was with an inverted pentagram around her neck in a room full of people in all black with this dragon-looking athabe that they were holding it up chanting, and there was candles all around by the laundry room. And not only that, but she had Baphomet and all sorts of tattoos on her with inverted pentagrams. So it really leads me to thinking that what they say about Victoria and there being a high population of Satanism, ritualistic behavior, Wicca, magic, all sorts of interesting things does go on. Is it the energy here? Are there vortexes and ley lines, as they say? I think there's something to it. And I'm not judging. I mean, I don't know what they were doing there, but I most certainly saw it with my own eyes. I'm going to leave you all with this incredible view out the window here of Mount Tomei. And this is Victoria. Come to this city and check it out for yourself, because there are so many interesting things to do here. And if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. I'll see you all soon.